In the aftermath of the American Revolution, the newly formed United States faced numerous challenges. One of the most significant early tests of the federal authority was the Whiskey Rebellion, a tax protest that erupted in 1791. This event would prove crucial in shaping the future of the nation's governance. The American Revolution left the new nation with substantial debt. To help alleviate this burden, Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton proposed an excise tax on distilled spirits in 1791, commonly known as the whiskey tax. This tax was intended to generate revenue for the federal government, but instead sparked widespread discontent, particularly among small farmers and distillers in the western frontier regions, where whiskey production was a vital economic activity. The whiskey tax placed a heavy burden on small producers, who often used whiskey as a medium of exchange and a source of livelihood. These frontier farmers, already struggling economically, saw the tax as an unfair and discriminatory, favoring larger, wealthier distillers who could afford the tax more easily. Additionally, there was a deep-seated resentment toward federal policies and a sense of disenfranchisement among settlers who felt ignored by the distant government in Philadelphia. Whiskey held cultural significance in these communities, making the tax not just an economic issue, but a personal affront. Initial opposition to the whiskey tax manifested in petitions and protests. Farmers and distillers held public meetings to voice their grievances and to rally support against the tax. However, as the federal government began enforcing the tax, resistance grew more violent. Tax collectors were met with hostility, often tarred and feathered by angry mobs, a brutal method of humiliation and intimidation. The situation escalated significantly in 1794 when a group of rebels attacked the home of General John Neville, a federal tax inspector. The confrontation led to a gunfight and death of several individuals, including a U.S. Marshal. This act of defiance symbolized the height of the rebellion and the settlers' willingness to resort to violence to protect their interests and assert their resistance to what they perceived as an unjust law. The attack on Neville's home became a rallying point for further insurrection and a direct challenge to federal authority, highlighting the deep-seated animosity and desperation among the frontier communities. Faced with this open rebellion, President George Washington decided that a strong federal response was necessary to uphold the rule of law and assert the authority of the new government. With Alexander Hamilton's support, Washington issued a proclamation calling for the insurgents to disperse and summoned a militia force to quell the uprising. Approximately 13,000 troops were mobilized from several states, marking one of the first uses of the federal army to suppress domestic unrest. Washington himself led the troops part of the way, underscoring the seriousness with which the government viewed the rebellion and demonstrating his personal commitment to maintaining order. This overwhelming show of force, unprecedented in the young nation's history, ultimately led to the swift collapse of the resistance. The presence of such a large and well-organized militia signaled to the rebels and the broader public that the federal government was both willing and able to enforce its laws and protect the stability of the nation. When the federal militia arrived in western Pennsylvania, the rebels quickly disbanded, realizing they were no match for the overwhelming military power of the government. The sight of thousands of troops marching into their region had a profound psychological impact, effectively breaking the spirit of the insurrection. The leaders of the rebellion were arrested and tried for treason, though most were later pardoned by Washington, in a gesture that meant to restore peace and unity. The suppression of the Whiskey Rebellion demonstrated the federal government's ability to enforce its laws and maintain order, setting a critical precedent for the young nation. It proved that the government had the will and the means to suppress violent resistance and uphold federal authority, which was essential for the stability and longevity of the United States. This decisive action helped to strengthen the legitimacy of the federal government and reassured citizens that their government could protect them and enforce the rule of law. The Whiskey Rebellion had profound political implications. It reinforced the power of the federal government over the states and highlighted the importance of a strong central authority. Public perception of the rebellion was mixed. Some viewed the federal response as an overreach, while others saw it as a necessary step to ensure stability. Historically, the event underscored the challenges of governing a diverse and expansive country and set the stage for future debates about the balance of power between state and federal authorities. The Whiskey Rebellion was a crucial moment in early American history, demonstrating the resilience and authority of the federal government. It set a precedent for federal intervention in domestic affairs and helped shape the nation's political landscape. As an early test of the new government's power, the rebellion suppression reinforced the principle that federal laws were to be respected and enforced, laying the groundwork for a more unified United States. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and comment and follow for more videos from 5 Minute Histories.